It's now time for us to turn to our review of Hoodlum from 1997, an American crime drama that gives a fictionalized account of the gang war between the Italian-Jewish mafia alliance and the black gangsters of Harlem that took place in the late 20s and early 30s. The film concentrates on Bumpy Johnson, played by Laurence Fishburne, Dutch Schultz, played by Tim Roth, and Lucky Luciano, played by Andy Garcia. This film was written by Chris Baranco and directed by Bill Duke, and is Vincent's selection for this stop on the Micheaux Mission. Vincent, what say you of Hoodlum?
I think as an American audience, we have this fascination with gangster films. And certainly at the time when these people were alive, they were larger than life. And then very soon, many of them were fictionalized to this point. So, you have Lucky Luciano, you have Dutch Schultz, you have the organization, the commission, all of this that we think of. And Bumpy Johnson really is the black gangster.
Yes.
That we talk about.
From that era.
And it's speaking of people that you think are around more than they really are. When you look at Bumpy Johnson and depictions of Bumpy Johnson, there really aren't as many as you would think for him to be the black gangster. There are allusions to him, like they talk about Bumpy in Shaft is sort of based on him, and there are all these black gangsters. And for that reason alone, I think Hoodlum kind of serves this great utilitarian purpose. Like this was years before The Godfather of Harlem, which appropriately enough was also created and written Chris
Brancato.
Chris Brancato writes for that as well.
Yes.
So, but this was really the fictionalized account of Bumpy Johnson's life. And as you said, it is fictionalized, but just to kind of cut that off at the pass, the sort of nip and tucks that they do with the actual history doesn't bother me that much because, I'm a fan of The Untouchables. I'm a fan of all these movies, and they always kind of move things around. And so there's that. I think there's a lot to like about this film. Like, I think there's a lot in this film. And the foundation of what I enjoyed about this film was the performances. Like, I think there are really solid 2 good performances throughout. Speaking of actresses that you think they have a stronger body of work based on their stature than they really do when you look at it. Cicely Tyson is in here as in a few scenes.
Yes.
As Bumpy's mentor.
Mama Queen.
And I like her. Like, I like her especially for what she's asked to do. Like, as someone who has the kind of gravitas and the presence that you would think that these men defer to. You have to be able to fill out the role. And I think Cicely Tyson does a good job with it. I think the relationship between she and Bumpy, this sort of motherly mentor to son figure, which gets complicated as the film goes on, I thought played well. So I liked her in what she was doing. Tim Roth is eating up every piece of scenery and having a ball as the sort of garish, gross, super racist Dutch Schultz. And I loved every moment. There's a scene in here where he's being disrespectful to Lucky Luciano and the rest of the mobsters, where he's eating an apple, and it is the best fruit eating scene since I forgot the actor's name the actor who eats the banana in Belly.
Oh, I can't remember.
But I just love like Tim Roth eating this apple and being racist is fantastic. I don't know how long Andy Garcia has waited to play Lucky Luciano when this film started, but Andy Garcia plays Lucky Luciano like he's been waiting his entire life to put on this outfit and be the embodiment of well-heeled, little sleazy, sexy Italian mafioso. And I really enjoy him a great deal. Chi McBride plays Bumpy's cousin.
Yeah.
And I like Chi McBride. I've always liked Chi McBride. I like Chi McBride a lot in this film.
Yes.
And I really like the chemistry between him and Laurence Fishburne. Like you really bought that these were cousins.
Yes.
And you know, I like them together. We were talking a little bit during 6 Degrees about Vanessa Williams, and I like Vanessa Williams. And I've always liked Vanessa Williams acting, and I like Vanessa Williams as this love interest Francine, who is you know kind of upstanding and gets drawn into this life with Bumpy. And then at the center, of course, you have Laurence Fishburne, and this is Laurence Fishburne in the pocket. Like this is in the pocket. This is the deep cover Othello pocket that we've talked about previously, where he is lean, he is menacing, he is sexy, he has presence. Speaking of Andy Garcia, they kind of Bill Duke kind of holds it back for a couple of scenes, but once he gets to the point where he puts those period piece suits on, the suits are laying on him. And, you know, I just loved all of these performances. Like, you know, I haven't even mentioned Loretta Devine. I haven't mentioned Clarence Williams III. Like these, you know, again, it's just sort of chock full of these actors that are kind of doing good, solid work. The storyline, look, it's a gangster movie. It's gangsters fighting each other. So, you know, the storyline is pretty straightforward, but the line-to-line dialogue I liked a lot. Like there are lines in this film that I kept jotting down.
Oh.
Like this is a good line. This is a good line. So, you know, I enjoyed that as well. As a period piece, you could tell it was not quite on the level of something like Devil in a Blue Dress or even a Rage in Harlem. When you talk about the money that is spent on the cars and the buildings, and you know, once you know, it's sort of like the later entries in the Planet of the Apes movies, where like the main apes would have this great makeup, but then you start looking at the extras and it gets a little shaky.
Yeah.
Like Lucky Luciano had on some beautiful suits. Bumpy had on some beautiful suits. Cecily Tyson had on some nice dresses. Vanessa Williams, one or two scenes, had on some nice dresses. But boy, you start looking behind them and you see the limitations of the budget. And there's that as well. So just as a film, you know, I think there's a solid entry in the 90s. Now, you know us, 2 hours, 11 minutes. So now you're over that 2 hour mark and immediately I'm like, okay, well, what could you cut?
Right.
And I do think that there is an hour and 45 minute to 2 hour version of this film. There is a bit in the lag where, you know, the film really revolves around this conflict between Bumpy and Dutch. And once it's kind of established, there is an extended period where it's just some back and forth. You know, they even use montage at one point where it's like, no, okay, we get it.
Right.
They're going back and forth. I will say this about the length and about how the film ends up falling. I enjoyed so many of the performances that all the way to the end, even through the sort of, you know, just sort of the rate of attrition that you get in a gangster movie. So, of course, people are going to die. there are enough actors that I'm enjoying all the way to the very end that scene by scene I enjoyed it. So they're just on a sort of practical level, there's that. But then B, I really enjoyed the fact that the last half hour or so, you get the repercussions of what this war has on Bumpy and his relationships with people. Mm. Like, I think some of the strongest scenes were towards the end between Laurence Fishburne and Chi McBride. There's a dynamite scene between Laurence Fishburne and Vanessa Williams at the end that I really like. They complicate Clarence Williams' character a bit by the end so that, again, I felt the 2 hours and 11 minutes, absolutely. But if I were going to make cuts, I don't know if I would cut at the end. Mm-hmm. Like, I'd cut some of that middle part because, again, I really, you know, there's a point where, you know, I talked about his complicated relationship with Cicely Tyson's character. Like, things get real muddled by the end. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated that where, you know, throughout the film, they sort of deal with this, this sort of nuanced, what do you do with this black man who is actually a criminal? But then the community kind of holds him up as a Robin Hood figure. Mm-hmm. And textually, the film addresses that. Like, you know, I think you're just a thief. You know, at the end when he and Chi McBride are arguing, it's like, well, Dutch's men are black and our men are black. And no matter who wins, all I know is it's just black men killing each other. And you have that as well that I thought was enough, again, to hold my attention. So that by no means do I think this is a perfect film. Like I kind of get why we don't talk about this film as much as, you know, sort of the period piece that you would think of immediately with it, something like Devil in a Blue Dress. But ultimately, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were talking about the commentary on the blacks killing blacks. I like the whole idea. Mama Queen talks to Bumpy about not wanting to start a war mm-hmm. in Harlem against the Italians because she recognizes that war is not going to take place on their streets.
Right.
It's going to take place right here.
Right.
Where we're going to be killing our own people, you know? So, you know, and that is a complication that the movie does speak to, you know, it gives voice to, because it is a reality, you know, regardless of how much for self you are living, you are always still thinking about your community mm-hmm. more so. So I did appreciate that about the film. You talked about the performances. I really did like Chi McBride in this. I think he may have mm-hmm. been my favorite performer in this film. And we're fans of Chi McBride, mm-hmm. but I think he holds his space very well here next to Laurence Fishburne, who, like you say, is like in his prime. This is Laurence Fishburne should have been Black Panther prime, mm-hmm. right? And you can see it. And for Chi McBride to hold that space and especially considering that he is at once supposed to be like, I think like an audience surrogate a little bit for this film, as well as being a bit of the comic relief for this film, mm-hmm. he still holds his space and still has depth to his character. So I really appreciated him. And Laurence Fishburne, like you said, is in the pocket, is right in the pocket. I think Bill Duke, and I wouldn't be surprised if Andy Garcia is a contemporary of Bill Duke, because I think if you are a person of a certain age at this point and you're working in movies, especially if you're an actor and you're thinking about like, oh, if I ever get the chance to, mm-hmm. if you're an actor, it turns into a director and now is moving more into direction, because by this time Bill Duke has already done A Rage in Harlem and a couple other films and some TV shows. If I ever get a chance to, and he finds out that he's going to do Hoodlum, and this is going to be I'm doing a gangster movie. And it's set in the 30s. Yes, I'm doing it. And it's not and A Rage in Harlem, as much as it was a period piece, it was still kind of like more fictitious in its characters. But now I'm playing with the the mythology of gangster. When you're talking about dealing with Lucky Luciano, Doug Schultz, like you're right in that world. It's right in that world that you've kind of like been reading about and seeing movies portrayed your whole life, and I get to play in that sandbag. I am there. So I'm pulling out all the tricks. Oops. Excuse me. In the Godfather, they had the scene where you had the montage of the newspapers, and the bullets being blazing.
Very Public Enemy #1.
Right. Here's mine. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everybody's got their 30 suits on. The cars, like line them up. We can only afford how many? 10? We'll make it work. We will make it work, man. Yeah. What? We can use the back lots of what sets? Here we go. Road trip.
At some point, I think it's a guy holding up a cardboard cutout of a car.
Yo, Bill's like, I will make it work. Yeah. This is my time. Yeah. Quiet on the set. Right. He is there.
Mr. Duke, there are only 4 people here.
And y'all all be quiet. But it's just the montage. It's the montage. And Andy Garcia, I'm playing who? Dude. Andy Garcia, I don't know if this is true. Something tells me Andy Garcia is like, I would not be surprised if he is like this big historian of gangster history. Right. So he plays Lucky Luciano. And there's a scene where Lucky Luciano, you're introduced to him, and he has this dog. And he hands off his dog to somebody. His dog is named Bambi. He's like, he had to walk Bambi around for me, right? Lucky Luciano actually did have a dog. Named Bambi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bambi doesn't show up for another 6 years.
No.
But I bet Andy Garcia said, oh, we're going to make it work in this movie.
Look.
Yeah, because I don't know when I'm next going to play Lucky Luciano.
He got a taste of the gangster life. I just looked up. He was in Godfather 3 for 45 minutes. And he said, oh, yeah. This is the life for me.
That's right. And that wasn't a period piece. So this is a period.
That wasn't a period.
That wasn't a period piece. Right. Now I get. This is my Godfather.
He's like, wait, ain't no flashbacks.
This is my Godfather. They probably in the deleted scenes, he's running around with an orange. Right. I guarantee. Right. I guarantee. Like this is his Godfather.
He is all in.
He is in. He is in. He is on the set every day. Every day, you need me in this scene? This is in Mama Queens. He's like, okay.
Mr. Garcia, this is an Arby's.
I could be in blackface in the back. No.
Everyone's like, no.
It's not that period.
Right.
So they were in their bag.
Yeah.
They were in their bag for this film, right? So, and God bless them.
Yeah.
God bless them. Right. If I may be allowed, one man moment.
Okay.
Vanessa Williams is a very, very beautiful woman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because she came on the screen and I honestly, Vanessa Williams.
Sure.
But she came walking down the street in this movie and I was like, wow, there's the sun.
I mean,
there's the sunshine.
That's that beauty pageant training.
Ooh.
Like she actually does walk like, no doubt.
Yo, she's all right. Man moment over. She's not bad in this film. She's not bad. She's not given anything. I understand the storyline that she's supposed to be kind of like, drawn into this world. She's not of this world. She's, she's helping people.
Sure.
And then she kind of gets lost in the world and marries Bumpy. I get what the storyline, they tell you what the story's supposed to be. I don't think there's enough of it there that I don't really buy the transition, especially when it flips and she says she wants out. And I didn't buy that flip because I didn't see her necessarily. I didn't see the switch in her. She bought in, but I didn't see the buy out.
Okay.
So it came very abrupt for me. I give you the scene where it happens is a powerful scene because of her and Laurence Fishburne,
yes,
and some of the staging of it. But I just didn't necessarily buy the
build up.
Yeah, I didn't feel. Okay. Yeah, I didn't feel it was earned. Loretta Devine, always a pleasure. Always a delight. It's just like a credit to any film that she's in. And she's good in here for what she is asked to do. She's not asked to do much at all. Neither is, still very early in her career, Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
In this film. Yet in the 2 scenes that you see her, you're like, there's something there. And you know what's coming, right? So there is a good deal to like about this film. At the end of the day, however, the runtime did run along to me. Now, it's funny. When I came in, I was talking to Dylan when I came in. It's like, this movie is like 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I said to myself, I don't think unless you're Francis Ford Coppola, I don't know if a gangster movie needs to be over 2 hours. But then I looked it up, to be fair, and Goodfellas is like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but it's Goodfellas.
Okay. Donnie Brasco is 2.5 hours. And I love Donnie Brasco.
There's more story in Donnie Brasco.
Very true.
That's about organized crime. Well, organized crime is the backdrop. But that's damn near a character study.
It is, and I would hard pressed to think of what you would.
It's damn near a 2-man play. Like you could actually make a play out of Donnie Brasco.
Speaking of play, oh man, I just lost it. The Robert De Niro movie with Chaz Palminteri, that Robert De Niro directed. Where
A Bronx Tale?
A Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
A Bronx Tale, which is kind of loosely a gangster film. That's only 2 hours and 1 minute. Perfect. Right on point.
And again, that's sort of the backdrop.
Right. Because
it's really kind of a coming of age.
It's coming of age film. It actually was a 1-man play.
Yeah.
That was adapted. So I was like, all right, so the runtime about this movie left me cold about this. But the big problem that I had with this film is that as much as Bill Duke is, I can see this being like his opportunity to play and do his gangster film. It's not well directed. It's not well directed a lot. And Bill Duke is not that early into his career as a director where I can like give him a pass on some of the staging, some of the places where the camera is shot. It does nothing to sell the story, right? Especially considering that you've got Laurence Fishburne flying on all cylinders. You got Tim Roth, to your point, eating up the scenery as only Tim Roth can do. Andy Garcia is having a ball. Loretta Devine's doing great work. Chi McBride's doing great work. Clarence Williams III is maybe from the background stealing every scene that he's in.
It's funny, we were talking about Jamie Foxx in Ali. Clarence Williams III has a similar speed in this. Where like you said, like this sort of side character.
And you're thinking his side character is that much more important, and he becomes important in, to me, very rushed ending, tying up with a whole lot of loose ends because they realize, oh, this is going on 2 hours.
Yeah.
The importance that he holds, it's kind of seeded through, to be fair, but again, I don't think the direction sells it well enough. I think the direction undersell. It's just bad in this film. And as a director, which means that not only are you saying where the camera goes, you're staging the scenes, you are also have a say in the look and the sound of your finished product.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematography on this movie looks very flat.
It does.
It looks TV movie of the week.
Well, part of the reason you can tell with the sets is because of the cinematography.
Because it doesn't hide anything, right?
Like we're joking about the lack of material resources with, again, the cars, the costumes, this, that, and other. But a lot of that can be
massaged and hidden. Yes,
with staging and
staging, proper lighting, evocative lighting and stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
And there are scenes that call for that. The scene you were talking about, we both herald between Laurence Fishburne and Vanessa Williams, the Francine character, when they break up. With proper lighting, that scene really pops.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the acting, a bit of the staging, but everything else about it is just very TV flat. Right. And then the music is tonally off with this entire film. There are times where there is something really dangerous and supposed to be intense action or drama leading to action that's supposed to be happening on screen. And the music sounds like I'm on the Love Boat. Like it just would take me out of the scene.
I wonder why. Not why you feel that way, why the musical choices were made.
I think, again, that may have been a choice of, I wouldn't be surprised, and I was looking it up, I couldn't find it, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of this music is more stock film, stock music that the movie company owned will just make it work.
Well, to your point, and I was talking about the like you were talking about the spinning newspaper, and I said Public Enemy #1.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get these moments that you think he's playing homage to those films. Like there's this, like the first time Laurence Fishburne and Vanessa Williams' character kiss, there's this great orchestral flourish where the camera pans up. And I said, oh, okay. Like I kept expecting to see a lit candle. Yeah. And then it cut to the candle halfway burnt down. And so, I do wonder if that's what Duke was going for. But it's sort of like, I think what we're saying is it's like the old adage when you get work done, like you can get it done fast, you can get it done in a quality way, or you can get it done cheap. Mm-hmm. But you got to pick 2 out of the 3.
Yes.
Like you can't get all 3. And I think the problem or the challenge that you're really getting to is you have like a lack of budget compared to its better counterparts, including A Rage in Harlem, frankly.
Yeah, but I don't think go ahead, continue.
A lack of sort of clear direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know a third thing, but you can't have that combination. Like either you can throw enough money at it to kind of overcome these shortcomings, or you can direct your way out of it.
Yeah, see, but to your point about the budget, and I just looked it up, this movie had a budget of $30 million.
Okay.
What was the budget for A Rage in Harlem?
Probably smaller than this, but it was a smaller film.
True. But the budget for A Rage in Harlem is $8 million.
Yeah. But
Rage
besides
in Harlem,
them both being period pieces, it's a whole, like this is a big movie. Like to the point, like the scene that I think you see it the most, we just talked about, like they have this set piece where there's a hit on the Queen, and it's supposed to be on a downtown street.
Yeah.
And there are literally 3 extras.
Yeah.
And 4 cars.
Yeah. It looks like a scene out of Star Trek.
There's no way that me as the viewer should know that.
You're right.
But the camera is so pulled back.
Mm-hmm. Again, right.
So now we're talking the staging that I remember, like I kept waiting for like somebody in the film to say, boy, I'm glad that Babe Ruth was playing so that nobody was on the street that day. Like, it was actually distracting.
It is. It is.
And the flip side is, I think the scenes would have been, I think, and we're talking about the Vanessa Williams, Laurence Fishburne scene at the end, but I think the best scene in the film is the scene towards the end where you realize what all Clarence Williams III's character has to deal with working for Dutch Schultz. And at some point he's with Dutch and a corrupt policeman.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And Dutch tells him to take the leftover corned beef sandwich. He's basically telling him take my he says take my scraps.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was an amazing scene. And I actually thought that was a well-directed scene.
I thought that was a good scene too. I don't think it was well-directed, but I think it was a good scene.
I thought, to your point, the blocking was perfect. I thought Dutch, in that scene, you see the menace. And you really understood the dynamic between Clarence Williams III's character and these two white men, and how Clarence Williams III had gotten out of pocket with this police captain, and Dutch Schultz was putting him back in his place. But to your point, 80% of that scene is Clarence Williams III and Tim Roth.
Yes.
And I think what I'm saying about Bill Duke's direction mainly is that he doesn't get in the way almost. So, but I thought that was legitimately a great scene.
Another problem I had with this film is that the music tonally was off, but I think also some of his direction, or maybe this is editing choices, were a little off. There's a scene where, spoiler for the film, Loretta Devine's character is killed in the film. But she's killed off screen, even though she's threatened on screen, and then somebody finds her and she's been badly beaten.
Yes.
Right? And I thought that was okay. I can go with that choice. Why do you need to show violence?
Right. I actually really like that choice to not show it. Yeah.
You like that choice because why?
I thought that could get very close to exploitive.
To showing the beating,
right? Showing them beating up Loretta Devine and this, that, and other. Like the character moment in there was Clarence Williams saying, "We don't have to do this," and was that Dutch that actually kills her, or the other henchman?
You don't see who kills her.
No, but I think it's Clarence Williams III and the other henchmen that are there with her beating her up, and he says, "Don't get soft on me," and I got everything I need from the scene. Like, she's going to die. So, like, I didn't need to see it. Okay. So I actually like that choice. But it is a choice.
Fair. It is a choice.
It is a choice.
But earlier in the movie, early on in the beginning of the film, there's a scene where Dutch Schultz guys break into one of the policy houses and they pull this woman out of there. And you see that thug punch this woman twice in the face.
But that's establishing who they are at the beginning of the film. Like, that's the beginning of the film.
That's fair, but I don't think you needed to see this guy punching a woman in the face twice.
I thought that was powerful because it was Dutch and Clarence Williams III.
Well, it was actually just Clarence Williams III.
I'm sorry,
and one of the henchmen.
Right, but my point is it was a mixed race gang.
Yeah.
See, I thought that was necessary.
No, it's necessary. I understand the necessariness of showing the violence of them breaking into the policy house, pulling the woman out, throwing the woman on the ground, threatening the woman.
Yeah.
And if you want to show somebody go to hit the woman and maybe you hear the punch or just show them that she's about to be hit, okay, you've establish this violence, but to show this woman being punched not once but twice, that's gratuitous to me. And I thought it was gratuitous when I saw it, but I was like, okay, is this what the movie is going to be? And then when they pulled back later, I was like, yeah, you punked out, because that means that earlier it was gratuitous or it was something that could have been edited out.
Yeah, it didn't bother. I didn't mind the choices in that order. I didn't mind. But now we're just, and to be clear, I'm not going to fight too hard. I'm pro for women getting punched on camera, but I understood the
fair. But ultimately, at the end of the day, though, I want to recommend this film.
Okay.
But it's a very, 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 very soft recommendation.
Okay.
And that is only because there are Laurence Fishburne, as heralded his career as he rightfully has had, there are a few films where he is really in this prime moment where he is the lead.
Yeah, this pocket. This is that pocket.
And Vanessa Williams doesn't have that great of a filmography either.
Mm-mm.
You will rarely see Chi McBride as good on screen.
I think outside of Roll Bounce, I can't think of anything he's better in.
And there's always a good time with Clarence Williams III. Andy Garcia is having fun.
Off the top of your head, I'm not going to fight anyone who says that he's better in Purple Rain. Where's Clarence Williams III better than his performance in this film? Off the top of your head. And I am literally doing it off the top of my head with Clarence Williams III.
Well, he is good in American Gangster because he plays Bumpy Johnson in American Gangster.
Yeah, but he's gone.
Okay, but he's good in it.
He's in one scene.
Well, I liked him.
Right, he's in one scene.
I liked him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I did. But no, you're right. He's probably maybe, and even in Purple Rain, he's just so powerful in Purple Rain.
No.
But he really ain't in Purple Rain that much.
He's only in like 2 scenes in Purple Rain.
He's just so powerful
It's
in
like,
it.
oh Lord.
But
you got a girl? Yeah. You love her? You think about getting married? You gotta suck the cigarette. Never get married. Like, damn, Clarence Williams III? No wonder the kid is crazy. I wear pants like that too if you were my father.
That's a stretch. But
so are the pants.
I see what you did there. What about you? Would you recommend that people see Hoodlum?
I would. I would. I think you are absolutely right. Even though when you said it's a very soft recommendation, and then you listed like 4 different things that were great about it. But I'm similar to it. Besides what you've said already about the performances, I really did like this exploration of the price you pay when you kind of live this life. You know, speaking of people who you can tell, we were talking about Andy Garcia and saying if I ever get the chance. And of course, the specter of The Godfather is over all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But you really did get the sense that Chris, screenwriter again, Brancato had that sort of wonderful part at the end of The Godfather 2,
mm-hmm.
where the price you pay in his mind. And, certainly this is not as well done as The Godfather 2.
No.
But even reaching for that, I thought at a moment in the 90s where you're sort of elevating the gangsters and this, that, and the other, and especially black gangsters,
mm-hmm.
Black outlaws. I appreciated that. Like, I appreciated this moment, and I thought this was something that parallels very nicely with the work that Laurence Fishburne was doing, appropriately enough, in Deep Cover.
Yeah.
Where we talked about Deep Cover as this sort of noir where there is no morality, and you do kind of have to pay the price for this. So again, I do think there are problems. It's the budget, and again, 2 hours and however many minutes. But I also recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, I also recommend it.
Well, there you go. That is our review of Hoodlum